back to Felios and Jinx. I didn't think I would ever say that with a little bit of sadness in my voice, but here we are in a game 2, which makes me happy because it is Invictus Gaming taking on anyone's legend with a quick turnaround in game number 1 to make sure they come out on top. Let's see if IG can do us the same and get us to a full 3 games. I know it's my dream. Lyric, it might not be yours, but here we are onto the Rift. It's all yellow and it's all bees.
Wait, what is this?
It's bees! This is actually really, really cool. Oh my goodness, the effects and everything. There's honey everywhere in the LPL.
Are those new skins, Mizzell?
Yes,
I don't
they
keep
are
up with
new skins. Good,
Oh.
good job. Good one, Lyric. You did good. You found out something that you don't know any information about.
Skins aren't important to the game. It's like, you know, again, obviously now casting the LPL, all I follow is LPL because it's on every day. But right, like obviously Faker, famous for never using skins. Don't know if that's still true or not, but it's true for the longest time ever.
The longest time ever. I'm liking the generality of that statement there as well.
Zell, all I make is broad generalizations.
It's perfect. It works out.
I don't give specifics, but
except when you're talking about Mole.
Well, of course. But looking at this matchup, right, I think we're going to see a lot come out around mid-jungle 2v2 for the side of IG. I mean, you have the aggressive all-in matchup of the Sylas up against EF. We know later on we expect to see him take the Destiny, start making plays around the map. For IG, I think you're kind of fine looking towards either side, just for the fact that with AL running an Enchanter support, if you can set that behind, if you can take Flash from Betty and Chocho, it's going to be very hard for them to walk forward aggressively in lane and look to whittle down enemy turret. But obviously the Jax on the opposite side as well wouldn't be too bad of a laner to set up. Maybe for IG, try and give Zika some attention early on, and then pivot and put some resources in the bot lane once you hit that level 6 mark.
Yeah, and the level 6s are obviously going to be very, very crucial in the way that we have drafted with all these teams. The ultimates are so pivotal. It's not that early skirmishing that we would maybe typically see, especially with both of these junglers, but it is that trying to respect in the early game, get to the point where we get to these first objectives, especially the Rift Herald, and then start looking for the fights. And keeping an eye on these solo lanes in that time is so crucial, as we do see both junglers pathing towards the top side of the map. So solo lanes are the key.
And for the side of AL, right, they've gotten some good vision down. 2 wards in bot side. They even had a ward in top side River that did just time out. So overall, covering their bases in the early game to try and spot out any aggression that could come out. Like you said, though, both junglers going up towards the top side. Wave still in a bit of a neutral place right now. Looks like it is pushing into Zika. So maybe Xiaohao hoping he can find a window before that happened. But Zika is going to get a ward down.
He didn't spot Xiaohao, though. So Xiaohao's walking into the dual clear of Shun. Smite already down from Shun to try and get the healing from the Gromp. The 3 talent strike and first blood for Xiaohao.
Really nice aggressive play coming out from him. We know Xiao's the type of jungler who always looks to make these plays. Also catching Shun when he was already using cooldowns to clear away the camps, already missing a bit of health, finding the perfect time to strike. And now speaking of strike, right, ZDZ putting some pressure onto Zika in this top side. I don't think this should lead to any sort of dive, but now Zika actually taking a fair amount of damage.
Is this matchup not working out for Zika so far? The wave state not in his favor either. See if Xiaohao wants to lend him some attention, but it's just the Scuttle Crab take plus the ward for Xiaohao, who then heads back to his jungle to keep farming. Shun, on the other hand, took that early bite to the hand, went right back to farming, and will need to wait a little bit till he really becomes effective for sure.
Yeah, CDZ still just being a nuisance in this lane. And right, a lot of this domination also comes down to the fact of like even ignoring range versus melee and things like this, the fact that your jungler is the one aggressively invading, killing the enemy jungler, so now you can play as, let's say, free, as careless as you want. Is Shun now going to posture on this mid lane? We were kind of highlighting how Shun might put attention here. If you can land the Abscond Abduct his Mole, sets up very easily for a gank from Shun. But instead, just going to path down, maybe take his Raptors. You could potentially look to set up for that Scuttle. Your bot lane is reset right now, though, so you'd probably wait for them to come out of base on that one.
The continued scuffling going on the top side between Zika and ZDZ. That's going to stay a constant as well. But now, speaking of constants, dragons spawning up in about 10 seconds or so with AL and IG heading towards this bot side. We haven't seen necessarily the big tussles over these early dragons, but it's definitely a macro decision that both these teams are taking into account.
Yeah, and we see both teams playing around mid right now. I think that's very important for the fact that both mid laners sitting on level 5, about to that level 6 mark. Whoever hits it first, right, and can find the impact with the global can be so critical. Obviously, Mole having a bit of a window since he did reset first. Does still have to answer this wave, but is going to opt into hovering around River just in case any aggression comes out. And in the end, nothing's going to happen, right? I feel like we are waiting for this next wave where mid laners should potentially be hitting level 6, and we can start making these plays. And with wave states where they're at, AL's bottom wave pushing into IG, I think bottom lane is definitely going to be where we're going to be looking for that aggression to come.
Of Xiaohao trying to get a lane gank, a little bit cheeky with it. Will not be spotted out just yet. And AL pushing up to make sure that is so. And keep these minions cleared up. The ward there on the entrance will spot him out though, so they do know that his presence is down here. And that is good information for Shun on the other side of the map to try and get something for himself.
Yeah, and Shun, gonna need to find something, right? Because now, for anyone's legend, you not only have that first kill, but you also have 2 lanes that are ahead. Both ZDZ and Forge being ahead of their counterparts. Xiaohao picking up this first dragon as well. Early game so far has been smooth sailing for the side of anyone's legend. It's really before their comp even comes online in terms of, again, displacing Maelstrom, the Destiny from Forge, trying to be able to create that numbers advantage.
Dragon.
Still able to find it.
Yeah, first dragon will be taken by Xiaohao as Kun is on his way down here. We get the mid lane little scuffle as both have hit that level 6 mark. Destiny available for Forge if he wants to pull the trigger to help out Xiaohao. But the dragon secured, mean AL get what they came for and back away.
Yeah, and we've seen Steal of Ultimate hasn't come out from Mole yet as Lucas looking for the aggression down on the bottom side. Heck, even Shun's here invading the enemy jungle.
Not level 6 yet, but Forge is level 7. Double Destiny's coming in now. You don't know whose is which but the colors. And here comes the damage. Mole can't survive the burns. It's not enough to heal. What? Shun pulls it back, and it is Xiaohao who takes the bite.
The coup de grace coming in clutch for Mole there to save his life. Shun being able to finish off that kill. Proactively utilizing the Silas and why he's picked in the Twisted Fate to look for these picks. Still not going to be able to find anything off of this. They aren't even going to opt into trying to steal away the blue buff. Just in terms of, right, Xiaohao being able to come off the map in terms of, like, being able to buy items, fresh reset. Forge obviously was still fine compared to Mole, who needed to recall. So instead, we are just going to see the resets come out from them. And then here, Shun goes in. You force up the TPs from both sides. Forge follows up, leaves him in a position where he needs to flash. And it looks like Mole's going to go down, gets away just in time. And then the final Q coming out from Shun to guarantee it. And again, the coup de grace on Mole, making sure he stays alive.
What a back and forth little bit there, but we're still 1-1. We're still very neck and neck 8 minutes into this game for both these teams, and something that AL definitely will feel okay with as their setup in the team fight will be there with the cannon ultis and things along those lines. Still execution and early prowess there for IG as they move into the top side to take this Rift Herald.
Also, Mazel, I'm dumb. It is Triumph I'm thinking of, not coup de
yeah,
grace.
I was wondering where you're taking the healing from that one, but you know, I was like, maybe
Mazel,
I'm dumb.
Mazel, remembering of names of things.
That's my job.
You know, I was gonna say back on team side, not really that important. You think pro players and coaches remember the names of abilities and runes and stuff like that? Not at all. I can promise you that. As
he's just like I gotta heal. It's fine.
Yeah. IG are able to take the Rift Herald. So we're going to see now where they do elected to use that one. They haven't really been able to pressure any lane in terms of where there'd be like an obvious answer of like, okay, this lane is 2 plates down for now. Still for the side of IG, again, I kind of like to see them put a little bit of attention towards just making life for Betty and Chocho more difficult.
As they have been absolute key to the victories for AL, it would behoove IG to do so, but it's still just going to be the hotly contested back and forth 2v2 in the bot lane. No real jungle attention to speak of just yet. It will be actually Shun heading down towards his bot side towards his Krugs as he doesn't really have anything else to farm. And we're still a little while out for the next objective, so it's going to be a pretty quiet next couple of minutes.
You know, Mazel, I don't think it's going to be a quiet next couple of minutes. I think in approximately 1 minute and let's say 30 seconds from now, we're going to see a fight. Not a fight at Dragon.
That almost
it's
a
going to be
couple
a
of
fight before
minutes?
Dragon. IG are going to aggressively push into the bot side, try to find a pick onto anyone's legend, and then we'll see if IG are able to play it correctly or if they get outplayed.
But as a
The
couple-
point is,
What is a couple?
Enemy bot side jungle.
What is a couple, Lyric? Tell me what a couple is. Is couple?
A couple is two.
Okay, it's 2. So couple.
Which is not a minute and a half. That's 90 seconds.
Come on, I mean, you get close enough, right? It will be looking forward to that setup, though, right? It is a Hex Dragon as our second dragon of the game. Haven't gotten the luxury of the souls all that much. We had the one in the last series. This time around, Shun is in position with that Rift Herald in mid lane. And this is where they could drop that to try and get that distraction. That's something I really liked about IG in the last game, is when they did get the Rift Herald, they used it nicely as a distraction in the mid lane to get that out of tower while they were fighting over the dragon.
I mean, that was something we saw all the time last year as
Yeah,
well, right?
exactly.
Drop the Rift Herald to pull pressure away, enemy team has to respond, you get on Dragon first. Even if you aren't taking Dragon at the same time, you at least can get vision down, clear vision, just set up river control to make sure it's harder for the enemy to come in. And look, Mazel, they're pushing into the enemy jungle. Wards are down.
Look how many wards from IG are in the side of blue of AL. Oh my goodness, nobody's gonna be able to walk through there without everybody seeing them. Now Forge is in some trouble. The Counter-Strike connects, and Forge, he's not gonna go down just yet.
Still, though, gonna chunk him out. He's gonna be forced to back. Rift Herald going down immediately. Dragon up in 10 seconds, so they should have a window for this as
He's in
Lucas
some
finds
trouble.
the engage.
Jojo has to use Wild Growth, but gets gobbled up, and now into 3 members strong. IG will pick up a kill, and it goes to Mole.
Pick an enemy bottom. You know, and I do want to say, I'm not watching the Chinese stream of this game. That was just a complete shot in the dark. I am lucky that I was right. I was wrong on the timing, though. It wasn't 30 seconds before Dragon. It was right when Dragon came up. But you know
I
what?
was right. It was a couple minutes, okay? Give me what my due is.
There you go. You got the couple minutes. So IG, though, going to be able to pick up the Dragon. So really nice roam by Zika. ZDZ didn't have TP at the time. Zika got the wave completely pushed in, able to roam down. Now looking at a counterplay from AL, because as Forge, you still have this Destiny up. You potentially have a window where Mole can't match you. ZDZ has been doing a nice job of getting these quick trades in topside to chunk Zika out. So you could potentially look to set up a play once again where you have the heavy trading come out, start having Forge lean up towards topside and try and shut down this Jax, get your Kennen a little bit ahead. And then with your Kennen ahead, right, he has TP advantage now. I wonder if he's going to TP back to lane, but you have that for upcoming team fights to try to get an advantageous position by the enemy. Slicing Maelstrom onto everyone. Zin lightning. Bam! AL, find the kills.
Yeah, that's the goal here at least, but it's still a lot of things to be checked off the list here for both these teams. And I will still say, you know, ZDZ's flanks later in the game are going to be terrifying, but you still have a lot of give and take in both sides when you're coming into those 5v5s. But we haven't gotten any of that just yet. We haven't had the classic 5v5s over the Rift Herald tonight, which is an oddity to me. But until then, we'll continue this slow and steady grind to the late game that we've had in all of our games so far tonight.
Yeah, we are getting a bit of trading coming out, coming in this top side. Also, Merc Tread's already being built on Zika, so respecting the AP, respecting the stun coming out from Kennen. We saw him looking for those all-ins, ZDZ having to trade on his exit back out, but having a decent bit of sustain with 2 corrupting pots still left open compared to ZDZ, who has no more usage of his potion.
But it'll be okay, at least, to some extent. We do see Shun and Mole moving over here. Destiny available for Mole. And that's something I do want to highlight, is Forge pulled off that first Destiny. Actually, I think Mole made it first with the Destiny, so it was a very interesting situation. But since then, Forge hasn't really been able to find anything with it. And that's something that was a big key to me for AL when we hit that level 6 mark. But now we're at 10, and we've only seen one real big play with it.
Well, I mean, now he's at a point, right, where he's consistently getting pressured in lane. He has to respect the threat of all-in from Mole pretty much at every second. And you look at where Shun is on the map, right? Shun is pretty much, if you made a box around mid lane, like right now you see with where the observer camera is, that I bet Shun has been within that box a solid 70% of this game so far. They're setting up for another one.
Everfrost does not connect. The Onslaught of Shadows, devastating charge. Yellow card on to Shun under tower, though. Forge beautifully piloted, and now AL moved to bot lane. Wink goes forward with the Gale Force, but it's not enough. Jojo using the Wild Growth. Mole is here with the Destiny, but Betty's now excited, and Betty's on fire again. Wink gets out with a nice flash, but it's not going to mean much. Mega Death Rocket to seal the deal.
And they found the TP with ZDZ. They held that before to set up this beautiful dive on bot side. IG's mid jungle was trying to set up that gank in the mid lane. Sure, Mole could follow, but Mole following just led to his demise as well. The Jack's going to be able to answer on the opposite side is a decent silver lining. But overall, anyone's legend with a massive win on the map.
And just like that, Betty somehow, some way finds scary potential for AL, even though it was so neck and neck. And these are the kinds of fights that mean a lot, right? It's the decision making for AL that we saw be so clear last game that we're seeing be clear again in this game, right? Wink went forward with that play. He knew what was coming and wanted to go for the kills. They just didn't have the timing down right. And Mole, a little bit late to the party, trying to get there with the Destiny, ends up, sacrificing his life and getting Wink killed as well.
I mean, I feel like the only way this could have been better for IG is if Mole doesn't Destiny at all. I think there's really no world where Wink and Lucas don't die there, 100%.
Yeah.
Even them finding a kill would be quite hard between things like the wild growth being available. Obviously, ZDZ's there with his ultimate. He's going to lock you down. So, yeah. For IG, I think they played it as well as they could have, other than Mole also throwing his life away to try to save his teammates. Now, though, we are going to get into the side lane situation, which for Zika, having the Triforce right now, I think he's feeling pretty huge. Even Mole, in terms of items. I mean, we're pretty much one mythic across the board for everyone. But IG Soul Laner's definitely going to win out in terms of those 1v1s. But as we saw from that last play, right, ZDZ and Forge both showing they're willing to drop waves to be able to gain more on the map from grouping up.
We will see the adaptations in the laning assignments for both of these teams. Forge answering Mole on the top side of the map. A lot of people from AL in the mid lane as Xiaohao moving forward onto Zika. It is dragon time here as the first dragon of the soul has spawned. Will be the second dragon of the game for either of these teams as AL take pole position for there. But the Rift Herald again utilized beautiful timing from IG. Second one in a row, and the mid tower will fall. Now, Jun actually looking for the fight. They actually get the engage on Xiaohao, but that's an overextension. And Mole, you've been caught with your pants down and you've been killed. We'll see Zika on the side here against Xiaohao, but it's 3v2. And now Forge is joining it. He just goes back in because he can. Zika gets eaten up by the Devourer, leaving Shun to die. And the miscommunication is rampant, it seems, from IG as AL still firing shots.
I don't even feel like this is miscommunication coming from IG. I just don't like their idea of taking this play, right? They have the Rift Herald. They think, hey, we pulled him towards mid. Since Mole has push up in top lane, he can do it first. We can try to find the picks. But I think for the side of IG, it'd probably be more worthwhile to just give Drake here, try and get gold on top side, set up a dive onto the TF, drop the Herald top, and we see Mole go in here. I mean, just gets instantly bursted down. I mean, you have ZDZ there, right? So being a champion like Silas who has to jump in, you're going to get locked down. You have so much burst. No one else able to follow up into the Slicing Maelstrom. And then Zika sees an opportunity, tries to jump back in onto Xiaohao, but instantly getting taken out by the Tom Kench. We saw Shun going in as well, getting bursted out, and then Wink left by his lonesome. Again, the fight itself is whatever. I feel like the idea, the shot calling, the play was not the best move coming out from IG.
Yeah.
Set up the dive on top, drop the Rift Herald, take down TF, get yourself a bit of a gold lead. It'd only be second dragon for anyone's legend.
But now we find ourselves not that far of a gold lead in front for AL, as we still do have, some of those passive advantages to CS going in the favor of IG, but it's still the fights that are so worrying. And something that obviously stands out for me is the fact that you do have the setup for AL, man. Like, just the fact that you have ZDZ Slicing Maelstrom on top of everything else, the CC layered down, it's going to be terrifying. And Chocho is always there with the wild growth to back everything up, as is last game. It's hard for IG to take these fights.
And at least so far in this series, right, we're seeing no matter the roster changes that IG brings, that I feel like a lot of their issues stay the same. Like both Wink and Mole, obviously recent additions, but still the mid game seems to be where IG have struggled all split long. Heck, we saw against, I believe it was EDG, who they came out both games just absolutely stomping them. end up throwing both. And I feel like that's been the story of IG, able to compete in the laning phase, able to find some early advantages because Shun's willing to play aggressively, but it always falls apart around the 15 to 20 minute mark.
Mole's in some trouble here. He has the pressing guard, though, so this is a bit of a tricky dive. Pressing guard comes out, and they back away from Mole. There's 4 members up here. Betty takes the tower shot. They're proxying the wave.
Oh, look at IG in mid.
I was going to say, the tier 2 is going down, and AL are committing to this. Mole buys so much time for his squad as tier 2 dying. It is still the outer tower to AL, but they have to back in a hurry.
Yeah, this might be an inhibitor turret for IG as well. Resets might come off in time. Yep, they're gonna have to back off. They won't be able to get this,
Forge
but still.
stayed. I saw him moving mid. I thought maybe they were gonna go for a little bit of a play since IG had pushed so hard, but it's IG who make it out like bandits.
Yeah, I mean, even if Forge did commit to mid, right, you kind of have to quite patiently wait and hope that the members of IG overstay for too long, which they didn't do it all right. They would have backed off. So Forge would have been able to find an opportunity, instead just gets the wave pushed in. So ultimately a net positive, denying gold and experience from the side of IG members. Items kind of being finished up across the board. Rapid fire cannon now going to be there for Forge. Going to help a lot, especially up against a decently short range comp coming out for IG. Zanya's also being done for Mole on the opposing side. And Zanya's is such a key item for Silas, buying you that second rotation of spells, being able to get off another W to heal up, another abscond abduct to lock someone down or get away.
Wink.
Wink. Betty.
The Devourer has to come through because Betty playing with that aggression we know and love.
Yeah, Betty just completely styling on them. They're going to be able to guarantee themselves this mid lane turret. They should even be able to get some good damage done onto this tier 2.
Shun is in trouble. He has to use the Onslaught of Shadows. That's the second game in a row we've seen these angles from Shun not work out. Now Crescent Guard from Xiaohao separates Mole from the rest of his team, and he might be caught out here as well. He has no tower to return to, but does have the angle. ZDZ was moving in fast, thought maybe you could come in for the flank, but AL decided wisely to back away. And that will just be it for that moment.
Yeah, AL do a nice job of capitalizing and trying to find that pick on Shun. They do force out his Ghost and his ultimate, but also nice discipline by IG to not give in to the chaos and to finally start playing to the Jax's strengths, allowing Zika to split push and be able to start taking objectives, which hopefully can translate into some items, giving them some map pressure. Dragon going to come up in 50 seconds. For the side of AL, I think they should still feel squarely confident in taking this one. I'm going to keep my eyes on the Xin Zhao. So Xin Zhao ultimate is 30 seconds, so we will have that back up in time for Dragon. You have Slicing Maelstrom, you have the Wild Growth, you have all the tools you need to be able to beat out IG. Because again, members like Silas, the Hecarim, having to run straight into the Kennen ultimate, I think should just squarely end up being a teamfight victory for AL.
It should be, but it's all about execution when it comes down to the matter, and Shun's Smite can be there. 15 seconds till the spawn as AL flood into the river. So do IG. Mole taking the Scuttle Crab early, but Xiaohao takes this unmanned fight now. Not going to pull the trigger on the Crescent Guard just yet. He doesn't need to until it's the right moment. Mole finally finishing up the Scuttle Crab. No, I'm pretty sure it got smited away. Yep, it did. Xiaohao gets it. Should on the flank, though. ZDZ can't get into the fight, and already Chocho's down. Wild Growth not available any longer. Xiaohao caught out here as well. IG somehow find the fight. ZDZ was in no position for the Slicing Maelstrom play, and now they've caught themselves out again. Slicing Maelstrom comes in, but it's a bit too late. This could be a full teamfight ace for IG. Betty making it out alive. Forge, maybe not so lucky as he gets chased down by Zika. It'll be the turn back onto the Dragon for IG, and what a fight.
And I can't believe IG won that. They completely blew up Chocho. He was there and then he wasn't. And it was just Lucas and Mole. Only Lucas and Mole found that engage. Zika also somehow forced out ZDZ's flash. ZDZ was waiting where we see a controller on the bottom side, the red ward kind of right in that entry point behind blue. But IG now going to pivot towards Baron. Xiaohao will be up now, so potentially could get here in time. I think IG have to back off as they are doing. So it will just be a Dragon over to the side of IG.
Lucas taking a bit of damage on the back end of it. Zika has been just doing the Dragon. Will be second Dragon secured by the side of IG. Destiny actually popped by Forge. Just gotta find out where the team is. We'll be using it to go to the top side, continue to push that out. But AL definitely reeling from that moment.
Yeah, I think for AL, I mean, we're going to see a replay, right? Because, I mean, seriously, Chocho just got instantly deleted while Mo was being forced away, right? I mean, the last thing is like, okay, Mo uses Everfrost on the Scuttle, and then instantly Chocho's dead. We're going to see here, does take the Crescent Guard. finds his way to the flash, abscond, abduct, into the ultimate. Lucas flashing forward as well to finish that one off. But this is such a key to me, is Zika forcing ZDZ away on the opposite side by himself. ZDZ obviously not wanting to commit his ultimate just to a Jax, allows for IG to win out on the opposite side of the fight. They're going to try and find a turn now because they know they're being flanked. They really just have to commit to finding whatever they could. Slicing Maelstrom comes out, but they aren't able to get anything.
Shun looking very animated in his player cam down there as well, trying to will the team into a victory, as they did take the gold objective, at least the winning side of the gold there for IG. So at least turning in favor of them in some aspects.
I also want to hit on you pointing out, like, you know, shouldn't be very animated, right? Because one thing I got to assume is if they're changing all these players, but you're still seeing a lot of the same tendencies in terms of how they play, right? You have to assume Shun and Lucas probably are the shot callers, considering the same issues and the same strengths do still persist. So speaking of Shun,
he's just he walks up there, gets found out. The devastating charge fell down at the last second. Now Moonlight Vigil has to come out. Onslaught of Shadows. It is chaos here in the mid lane. Oh, the yellow card connects. CDZ, he wants it, but the Devour from Lucas again comes up clutch.
I'm surprised Mole and Zika TP'd so far away. They TP'd in their blue side jungle to be able to get here. I mean, some key summoners down. Cleanse now not going to be available for Wink, also losing a bunch of ultimates across the board. Wink, Lucas, and Shun all having to blow those. Now for AL, how feisty are they feeling, Mazel? Do they feel confident maybe trying to bait a cheeky Baron? Give us a good flip?
That's going to be a no. They are all getting a back off for anyone's legend, leaving Betty in the mid lane to continue to farm up a little bit. We'll just get the full resets coming out. We'll more than likely be looking at the next fight when both teams are sitting on their 3-item spikes. We already have that achieved for Forge. We are getting to that point for the solo laners as well as the ADCs.
Yeah, both getting incredibly strong. And as we see the replay of... I mean, Shun trying to set up for it. The TVs were already coming out by the other two members in that bottom side jungle, but we're going to see Shun forced out incredibly early. Again, the ultimate already having to come out, and then with Forge having the rapid fire cannon, able to get the extended range for the gold card, making Lucas use his ultimate as well.
DDZ has TP, is getting the back off right now. IG are positioning around this Baron pit. Seriously looking for a 5v5 fight. They want to force AL's hand here. Mole gets spotted out by the entirety of AL. They know he's in the buffer zone here, and ZDZ isn't there yet. He has TP, but no ward to get the flank off. And now it's Xiao who has to make the day. He has to make something happen here. Baron at 4,000 health. Shun getting a little bit low. Destiny coming in. IG gets scared. They pull off, and now Mole, he misconnects the stuns. He has to use the Crescent Guard. IG are scrambling to try to get over here and help him. Beautiful healing from the Kingslayer for Mole. Gets him out alive, but now the rest of IG are in a predicament here as yellow card not landing for Forge there. The rapid fire not enough distance.
Look, I think game one, we were seeing a little bit of Victory 5 Mole. Maybe this game, we're getting more colors of the WE version of Mole. So there's still hope. It's only his first series back. Where, you know the LPL community, very nice, forgiving people who just in chat say
I didn't know you were just going to straight up lie to the broadcast like this.
Hey, Mazel, there's another Baron.
It is IG. They've tried so many times to get this Baron, and every time it's an overzealous decision.
Right there, they were thinking AO were going back on their recall timings, just kind of hoping for a bit of a cheeky one that they can pull right out from under AL. Nice of AL to still be conscious of that. They can still be looking for that Baron and not having to commit too much, right? Just throwing out the super mega death rocket to check if it is being all in. But Dragon now going to be up in 30 seconds. Flashes up on pretty much every party. Cleanse still not yet up for Wink, though, so you have to be careful in terms of what Forge is able to do. And speaking of Forge, also now having the stopwatch picked up as well, so he himself will be able to buy some time as compared to Mole, whose Zanya's isn't up.
And obviously we're on the 3-item spike now, right? I was setting this up because this is going to be a smorgasbord of action. Betty and Wink have the tools to be able to take these team fights. Speaking of, Wink just obliterates almost the entire team from AL with just the Moonlight Vigil and the AoE from the Infernum. Forge can't pull the trigger on the yellow card just yet, and AL just continue to push mid. Getting flanked by IG, though, at the same time, and IG move into mid while they take the Dragon, and IG taking advantage of the situation AL put themselves in.
Yeah, and you know, they have to be so respectful right now because of Mole having the Slicing Maelstrom, because of Shun still having his ultimate up as well. They're just going to back off and put IG onto Soul Point.
What a turnaround and macro play there. Still about 1,000 gold in the lead is IG, but now they can force the fight for AL around that Dragon Pit in that 5 minutes time. We've already seen they're more than willing to try to force AL into these fights, which is so interesting with the team fight potential there is on AL's side. That IG would opt into that with the strengths that they have, but them themselves having a lot of that team fight scrappiness as well.
Yeah, also IG, you know, feeling confident in winning in extended skirmishes. We see, especially with Zika picking up the GA so early on. I mean, Zika's been doing a lot in these team fights as well, right? Despite the fact that he's 0-0-1, he was the one in that last fight as well, like aggressively pushing forward, trying to engage and forcing a lot of the members of anyone's legend back.
And that's why you see all the heel cut coming out, especially because you have the duo of Zika and Mole, who are so terrifying because of those sustained fights, as well as Shun on that side of it. So a lot of heel cut needed by AL. Does force their build decisions a little bit more so, and you know, dropping gold into places that maybe aren't as super crazily damage heavy. Shun, again, looking for the flank. They found it, though, on the Xiaohao, who uses the Crescent Guard in beautiful timing with him, with Mole themselves, as Mole, this primary aggressor.
Oh my God, Lucas!
I can't believe
that was close.
He's gotten them every time. Lucas has been so clutch with these Devours.
My God, Shun playing on a knife's edge. I mean, he better. No, he owes Lucas dinner and a beer. There you go. Lyric certified. Cash in, Lucas. Cash in.
It will be the setup around the Parent Pit for IG, though, as Xiaohao and AL just trying to find the footsteps that they feel confident in up here, because it feels like there's just been a confidence vacuum on the side of anyone's legend. They do not feel confident moving up into these fights against IG.
And right, a lot of it comes from, one, they don't have like a great amount of, in terms of like long range engage, right? Xiao having to find a W and go in himself, or Forge having to TP into a fight, things along these lines. And you also don't have like an outright tank. Xin Zhao's pretty much a tank, so, you know, we'll give it the benefit of the doubt, but don't have an easy way of just walking into IG.
They do get it. Oh no, the screen froze for me. Okay, 4,000 health on the Baron. He got IG still positioning in front of it. They don't want to flip this. They do not want to have a 50-50. Zika is pushing in the bottom side of the map, and IG back away from the Baron take. This is so many times we've seen this from IG, just forcing AL around the map.
Yeah, IG trying to keep the Jacks up with the split push, but you know, Mazel will once again give the public service announcement that, you know, sometimes if it sounds like we don't know what's going on in the game, guys, it's because we literally can't see it sometimes. Remote broadcast, baby, as AL at least able to find a turret off of IG pulling them around the map.
And the back off of AL after taking the tower. Shun still looking on the side, ever looking for these picks and trying to catch out Xiaohao as well. Rest of IG are right here. The back starts from Shun, but I was going to say this would be a bit extended from IG, as they will just get the resets coming out from Shun and trying to get these items separated, right? We get another stopwatch completed for Mole. We have one on Wink now, and we're starting to get to the points where those stopwatches are so crucial in buying time for these team fights, as we had said, which have been so sustained.
Yeah, and I'm kind of surprised that we don't see more coming out across the board, just for the side of AL. Though again, for AL, so when we were hitting on before in terms of them not pulling the trigger as much, right? I feel like for AL, a lot of it is trying to get them to come into you, force onto you, like those earlier fights where Slicing Maelstrom is kind of used as, not really a zoning tool, but just used to peel for your carries. Forge also sitting out right beside IG, but IG done a nice job keeping up the side lane pressure. So they've always had an avenue where they can force.
And now we're just getting to 5v5 in mid lane. You still have ZDZ on the side. He does have
That was a
TP
very
available.
Ballsy Gale Force
It
coming
was,
out from Wing.
but that's been the story of the night.
I guess he's a Tom Kench.
Yeah, exactly. They actually catch out ZDZ. This is a key piece, but he does not get caught. And now the 3 from IG get pounced on by AL. Zika and Mo, you got to get back to the fight. Your team needs you. Moonlight Vigil on the side, though. Chocho has to back away. Now you have ZDZ with that huge slicing maelstrom. But look at Zika. He's in the middle of everybody. His GA popped, and now IG are turning on to ZDZ. They take him down. This is going to be a very contested fight. It's 4v3. AL still with some serious damage and setup from Xiaohao, Chocho, and Forge. It will not be so this time around. I actually feel like IG came out on top because now they get the soul.
Yeah, I feel like in that fight that the two mammoths were Zika. We just saw him there, again, buying so much time, getting the enemy team to dedicate so many resources to him. And then I kind of thought Mole was waiting way too long to pick up an ultimate from the enemy team, but still, him waiting to pick up Xiaohao's actually came in so clutch. Ulting ZDZ once he used the Slicing Maelstrom, was still able to close a bit of distance with the Rocket Belt, but still. Now IG gonna pivot this into a Baron.
They just really want to get the Baron. Somebody on the team was like, I have a mission to get the Baron today. We have to get it at some point. And, you know, rightfully so, IG adhere to those win conditions and get the Baron for themselves. Now having the Soul, the Baron, and this previous fight.
Yeah, we're going to see AL try to use this opportunity where both Zika and Mo are on the opposite side of the fight to try and win out. They are able to get one pick, but then Zika comes in, goes straight towards the backline. Look at Betty. Betty's putting all of his damage off on him. Once the counter-strike comes out, he's able to find the stun. On the opposite end, like I said, Mo able to knock ZDZ away, force his flash and his Rocket Belt to come out. Buys time for Wink to be able to reposition after coming out of the stopwatch.
They didn't have any damage.
And
that was the biggest thing. Like, after you lose Betty, after you lose ZDZ, the damage is hard to come by. I mean, you have Xiaohao, but Forge himself will still be sparing on damage until this build really gets completed off the ground.
I mean, right, no, you hit the nail on the head. All of their damage is in ZDZ and Betty. And even ZDZ, right? ZDZ just about hitting that one big ultimate. All of their sustained DPS coming from Betty. And that's why Zika, I feel like, was the most crucial member of that last team fight, getting right on top of him with that counter-strike, making him waste so many of those autos and being able to take him out of the fight completely. IG now, with Soul and Baron, are going to be able to get this two-lane push going on. Having Mole kind of be the one who hovers in between just in case they commit resources up towards that top side.
And at this point, it's just feeling like IG are bringing us 3 games. I mean, they have found so much in this one. And
9-game day.
Honestly, it's looking like it's going to happen because we got the banger of RNG and EDG right on the other side of this series, but we got to get through this one first. And IG trying to make us have a long night here for sure. Don't want us to catch up to the main broadcast at all. Betty will be securing that Lord Dobbs as his 4th item, but the base is crumbling around AL as we speak.
Yeah, for AL. I mean, especially without having Flash on ZDZ, I don't know, you open Destiny or you commit Flash Gold card from Forge to try to find your way in and just try and brute force it, right? You're probably going to lose, but at this point,
they go into Wink, but Devour is right there, clutch yet again. Moonlight Vigil back, heals Wink up the full. The Mega Death Rocket doing a lot of work onto Lucas, but IG and Shun, the rest of them focus towards top. The top inhib tower goes down, but AL at least mounts a defense.
Yeah, at least they're able to buy themselves some time. IG still were able to pick up an inhibitor and obviously opened up the inhibitor on top side. And IG are going to keep the pressure going. Lucas back, they don't care.
They absolutely don't. Zika also has TP if they want to keep the pressure up, if he wants to get a back off. IG finally decide to back off though. But it is into the mid lane where they have super minions and Baron buff.
And they can easily pivot towards bot side. We see Kings coming out now. They have a bit of a wave started there, so can look to take down this last inhibitor turret. Then I think you have a decently easy time using the super minions in mid lane to find a way to pressure these 3 inhibitors themselves. And then it's just going to be, again, the slow drain from the side of AL. Xiaohao with a nice job of finding that last engage and almost finding a pick. Again, it's nice that AL are still trying to be somewhat decisive with the engages coming out, but Zika now able to answer on the opposite side because no one can match him 1v1. So IG actually doing a decent job of juggling their pressure in top and bottom lane.
This is such an interesting situation since we're about to be 40 minutes into this game. And it's all about the balance, it seems, right? And we have the Elder Dragon coming back up in about 2 seconds, or coming up, at least, rather, for the first time in this second game. But it will still be that crucial fight for AL, right? And it fits them beautifully, I feel like, right? We've been looking for the big ZDZ ultis, the big setups. It just hasn't been there for a majority of these fights. But when you are forcing the fight into a pit, into an objective, that's where things can come alive for AL.
Yeah, we've seen IG be a lot more conscious of it ever since the first Cannon Ultimate, I feel like was the big downfall of that early team fight that IG lost. And they've always committed either Zika or Mole to trying to zone him out on the side of a fight. And Also, the vision denial, right? We've seen that they haven't been able to find any flank wards. If IG push this, there will potentially be some now if ZDZ wants to try and find a way onto wing.
That's been the vision game from IG. They know that that is a crucial piece to finding the big flank, finding the big team fights for AL, and they don't want to let that happen. We did have Rabadons completed by Forge, so a little bit more damage in the tank for AL. Their base is left with literally nothing. I mean, they're losing their last inhib tower here, and AL are forced off of the fight. Wink getting the inhib here, gets the Crescent Guard out of Xiaohao, and this just feels like Shun getting caught out might be a change of things here. Zika not able to get the Counter-Strike off. Now it's going to be Betty getting excited. Moonlight Vigil goes a little bit wide. AL mount the defense, the Mega Death Rocket back, and this is a pretty good turnaround for AL, even though they lose everything in their base.
Yeah, I mean, AL able to keep it going. You look at IG's composition, right? IG's composition, super low ranged. 4 melee champions plus an Aphelios. They don't have the greatest time of taking down turrets. Typically, you need to force fights with these compositions to be able to end. Now, though, they do have all inhibitors up. Elder coming up in 5 seconds, though. If anyone's Legend can find a way to force this, take this objective, this might be AL's way to legitimately get back into the game.
DDZ has to keep an eye here on the top side, though, just so that Zika doesn't end the game. The Super Minion's making it very difficult. The TP now coming in. It's up to ZDZ to hold Zika here, because this is the desperation play from AL. They get the Elder Dragon, but TP's coming in. They want to end the game. They're forcing onto a slicing maelstrom. The Dragon wings! It's beautiful as ZDZ makes the defense happen. Mega Death Rocket goes wide, but it don't matter when you got the Elder on your side. AL find the fight. What is this? Wink is caught. The wings, the GA, it doesn't matter. AL find it yet again.
AL catching IG out. That has to be one of the most egregious throws I've ever seen. Nice job by ZDZ.
Look
Sees
at the
him
base.
coming in, pops the slicing maelstrom. I think he should be fine, Nazel. I think he should be able to clear it. They're sending Forge back now. But think about this. They just lost all of their inhibitors. The price they paid, they get an Elder Dragon and a Baron.
Is that a price that you're willing to pay? And apparently AL say, yes, yes it is. The final pieces to that play, the bounty secured by AL, their base in tatters. They lost the Nexus Tower. They almost lost the second one. ZDZ's farming up here, trying to get to the last item as well. But we're going to get a replay of that chaotic fight.
I can understand what they were going for here because there's no way they should be able to get Elder Dragon, right? If AL are forcing Elder Dragon, they have jungler up, they have man advantage, they should be able to guarantee the objective. So they try to go for the force on the opposite side, obviously underestimating the amount of damage that ZDZ does, especially with Elder, because we saw, I think it was Bull, pretty much got blown up right away. I mean, the fight on this end doesn't matter, right? We see it's essentially a 2v, not essentially, it's a 2v4 coming out for AL's bot lane, so there's really no hope of them winning out that fight. Seems like they were trying to make the best of a bad situation, but again, you just gave anyone's Legend so much momentum going forward.
Yeah, absolutely did, and all of a sudden just feels like they've gotten that confidence back. They know how to set up the fight now, Lyric. They know that they need to get ZDZ into the fight and find a way to navigate that. We are also on full builds for a majority of this game, so it is all about execution. It is all about the finite decisions in these team fights. Betty about to get excited from that first tower, just snowballing this into the inhib in mid lane.
Yeah, and I also need to say, Zika needs to be careful.
Definitely.
They're keeping Forge back.
This is a bit of a predicament. Xiaohao on the side needs to be able to separate this. Wink still does a ton of AoE damage. Here comes the TP from IG. They want to end the game now. Crescent Guard separating a lot of the damage. Zika trying to get onto Betty. They can't fight it. Zika doesn't have the Counter-Strike anymore. ZDZ is huge with the slicing maelstrom. How does the damage keep coming out? It's Wink trying to get the AoE, but it doesn't matter. You thought we were going the 9-game dream, but AL turned it around at the drop of a hat. They lost everything in their base but one tower and one Nexus, and they still come out on top. 2-0 victory for anyone's Legend as they move up to 4-8.
And you see the smiles on their faces, the laughter coming out. Betty overall, great series.